Greetings, young fools. I have returned in all of my dark side glory. Well, you have been asking, nay, begging your Star Wars dad to rank all of the cards in LEGO Star Wars Battles top to bottom. And today, you're going to get that. It's NOOCH TIERS. Not tears like crying. It's tears like a cake. Like ogres have layers, onions have layers, tears like tears. NOOCH TIERS. But before we get to that, I was thinking, and I was remembering actually, when Anakin and Padme were dating and hiding their love from the Jedi. Isn't it just grand? Well, Padme, of course, was a planner. She had big plans. She wrote out charts and graphs of their life together over 5, 10, 20, 50 years. She had it all charted out and graphed accordingly. And she was displaying it to Anakin, saying, "Here, Anakin, we'll be here at 1 year. 5 years, we'll have this. 10 years, we'll have a house on the sea in Naboo with no sand and lots of children." And Anakin was just furious at the planning. He couldn't take the planning. He couldn't take the charts and graphs. And he stood up and he started ripping them to shreds right in front of Padme. And Padme, of course, burst into tears. Not NOOCH tears, just tears, crying down tears. And she said, "Anakin, Anakin, you're breaking my charts." Hello there, everybody, and thanks to Palpatine for coming back and sharing with us his quite unique humor. I mean, you can't get over that. Anyway, here we are. It's time for NOOCH TIERS. And as you heard, it's not tears like you're crying, not like Padme crying over her broken charts. It's like tears, T-I-E-R-S, like the layers of a cake. Like ogres have layers, onions have layers, like the layers of an onion. You peel them back, and they actually might make you cry if it's an onion, but it's tiers, T-I-E-R-S, top to bottom rankings of every card in LEGO Star Wars Battles. And let's talk about how we do this. It's December 2021. I haven't done this since October 2020 because the game had stalled out. You know the whole story. Anyway, here we are. So we start at the bottom, and we go all the way to the top. And of course, the cards at the bottom are Poodoo, Trainees, Captains, Admirals, Grand Moffs, and at the top, Unlimited Power! And the reason I do that, so I like to make like a pyramid. It's kind of like a bell curve. If some of you taking statistics and other courses, you have a few cards at the bottom, and then it goes up and up more, and you got a whole bunch in the middle, and then a few cards at the top. And to me, that better represents how the game works because it just really separates the cards. So we're gonna start off right away with the Poodoo. We're gonna show you the Poodoo, work our way up. So what is the Poodoo? What are the worst cards in LEGO Star Wars Battles? And I'll tell you right now, it's the tanks. I'm gonna have to give a little thanks here, by the way. I've talked several times about Balaran, who's the best player in the game, has the highest trophy count if you look out. The last time I checked anyway, I assume he still does. I thought about some other cards that ended up in Trainees, and his rankings, gave me his rankings, and the tanks were there, and I just thought about it. You know what? He's right. The AT-AT and the clone tank, at the very beginning of the game, you can use them. I guess you could find some unique spots where you have a forward tower. You can drop them immediately on somebody else's tower where you could use them. It's just that for their forward energy, they really don't offer enough. And this is not a game about long pushes. We've discussed this a lot. You can't start deep and get a long push and have success with that. You have to control the middle. And to control the middle, you got to be fast and lean and sleek and sleek and suave and sophisticated. You gotta take the middle, and the tanks are big and slow and lumbering and boring and don't do enough damage and don't take enough damage and get damaged by particle beams. They just don't have a lot of use, especially once you get to real trophy levels. So there you go. The AT-AT and the clone tank are the Poodoos. Next up for us are Trainees. These are cards that probably don't really belong in any deck. But they find their ways, and I've been playing. Well, we're gonna start with Buzz Droids. I've been playing with Buzz Droids in my deck all week. I just want to keep trying them out and try to find ways to use them. They're okay. They're just okay. They're really susceptible to boom balls. If they're above any, they could be. You could have Buzz Droids flying over one battle droid, and if boom balls hit that battle droid, all your Buzz Droids are dead. They should not be that susceptible. In fact, I don't think the air units on the dark side should be hit by boomaballs ever. I don't think this should ever happen. Boba Fett shouldn't be hitting nothing in the air should be hit by boomaballs, but that's a whole separate story. So if we start with this, these trainees, and these are cards that really you just can't afford to put into decks. You will find me using some or many of these cards during the events, because that's a really good time to test out cards that don't quite work, but you might be able to compete in events against players that don't quite match up to your skill level. Maybe newer players that are playing the game lower trophy level. So I'll use these cards a lot in events, and I have been using the Buzz Droids. I promise you, the Buzz Droids have been on my deck since they came out, and I've only taken them out a couple of times. So start with the Buzz Droids. Then we got the Dropship and the Glider. I've seen these ranked in different spots. They do come in handy for killing snipers and for killing the factories, the Battle Droid factories and the Ewok Treehouse. It's just that their success rate, even with that, is not very high, because you have to catch your opponent off guard where they have nothing to defend with. If you catch them where they spend all their energy right before you launch them, yeah, you'll kill those towers, those spawners. But otherwise, if you don't, they're just going to drop down 3 porgs. 3 porgs kills these units when you drop them down. They're just too fragile. They don't really do enough damage. And I don't know that they can really change it, because the spawners have such low health. It's just a weird trade-off, so I put those there. The ATRT, I have not found any use for it at all. I don't really even like it in events. It's got a slow firing rate. It does more damage per second than the the Chicken Walker. Maybe not more damage per second, but more damage per attack than the Chicken Walker. But it's just too slow and lumbering, and it just doesn't fit. The Flame Towers. Guys, the Flame Towers, and then at the end there you can see the missile launchers. These guys, both the Flame Towers and the missile launchers, are vulnerable to every air unit in the game. That's number 1. So if you drop a Duros Alliance fighter or a probe droid on them, they're dead. If you drop the Buzz Droids, well, the Minox, that's a whole separate story, but Buzz Droids, they can't defend themselves. They both don't do a lot of damage to units, although the missile launchers do a little more damage to units, but still, they struggle. The Flame Towers, you get a single unit on the Flame Tower. Almost any single unit in the game will kill a Flame Tower. It's pretty ridiculous, actually, how little damage they do to single units. They're effective against swarms, but even against swarms, they're going to take some damage, and usually swarms combined with boomaballs, or swarms combined with Swarms combined with seismic charge will do the number on both these types of towers. And I've talked extensively about missile launchers, that once they lock onto a middle tower, they're vulnerable to anything that wants to come in, and because their range starts at 6, anything that gets inside that 6 range is free to just destroy the tower. It's just not built very well in the game. And finally, you've got the Duros Alliance Fighter and the Imperial Probe Droid. There's a couple of the first units you get. They're just really ineffective. I mean, once you get to 2,000 trophies, 1,500, you can't really use them anymore. They just take a beating. You might catch somebody by surprise, but more likely than not, you're just going to waste 3 energy by using them. Let's jump into these captains now. Okay, now I'm gonna get a lot of flack for my first cap. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this first captain, the Guavian. I struggled with this. I used the Guavian and the Darkside Flame Trooper. I use them both. I kind of interchange them. I put them in and out. The Flame Trooper has more health and does quicker damage. Like, he'll wipe out a flock of porgs more quickly than the Guavian will, and he'll still keep going with like 3/4 of his health. The Guavian will take out the porgs, but maybe have a 1/4 of his health left. So I defaulted to the Flame Trooper. I think it's a preference and a style. The benefit of the Guavian is he'll enable you to cycle more, and I've actually been using the Guavian more lately. So people are going to be upset about the Guavian. Let's just get that out of the way. Then we got Chewbacca. Chewbacca is a high health unit. My understanding is when he gets up to like a level 11 and 12 Chewbacca, he's really, really, really good, because he just gets a big old health pool and becomes much more dangerous as a tank. Down anything below that, though, 8, 9, maybe even 10, he's just not super effective. One thing he is very, very, very good at is taking out battle droids. Chewbacca against a battalion of battle droids, the battle droids will be dead, and he will take minimal to no damage from those battle droids. So he excels at that splash damage, but there's not a lot of splash damage needed against the dark side, so that's why he's there. The snipers, they're actually decent tools. You just have to find the right spots to use them. If you surprise your opponent with no energy sitting there and drop a sniper, you're going to take out a tower, and you're just going to do it really effectively. The problem is, if you drop a sniper anywhere within bomber range of a tower, or even seismic charge range, I believe above level 4, a same level seismic charge will take out your Cassian. Boomer balls kill them easily. They're very fragile. If used in the right way, they can be effective. You just got to be careful and pick your spots to use the snipers. Next, we come with the Battle Droid Factory. I do like the Battle Droid Factory. I do, unfortunately, feel like it's not only is it low in health, it's the same health as a treehouse, I believe, but the battle droids that come out of it just aren't super effective. They're really good fillers. Like if you get a bunch of stuff in front of them and they have time to keep filling in the map and you get 2 or 3 of them together, they're a lot better. But one battle droid doesn't damage, I don't think it damages any tower in the game. It might get one shot off on the flame tower because that's how bad the flame tower is. But against the turbo lasers, the particle beam, the missile launcher, it just doesn't damage. It doesn't make it down the road. It just dies. So it's more of like a slow, steady build thing, but it's so easy to kill. It's really harder to manage. You got to really manage it well to use it. The clone bomber. I actually have grown to like this unit a little bit more. It's really good against battle droids. The clone bomber is better against battle droids than the Guavian is against Porgs and Ewoks, which it should be opposite, by the way, because you need that grenader on the dark side to be really good against those swarms. Anyway, that's just a mix-up thing. So it's because battle droids have no health is why. But he's really good against those. And I like using him sometimes. I don't really put him in the lineup very often. And a lot of these cards you see him below the line don't make it into the lineup very often, except for that Guavian. Next we have Phasma and Leia. I have talked at length about Phasma and Leia. I do use them in the events for the same reasons I talked about earlier. I like to use different cards in the events because I end up playing players that aren't at my trophy level. And, you know, it's just a chance to play against players and try different things out. So I do like to use them in events. Otherwise, once you get above like 3,000 trophies, once somebody has boomer balls and seismic charge, Leia and Phasma are almost unusable. You'd have to really time it perfectly on their abilities for anything to work. Phasma needs some kind of buff. She needs her stabby stab to do a little bit of stun on the end. She needs to stay behind. She always ends up charging ahead of her units that are like she's got the protection from these units she spawns. Then she charges out ahead of them and dies. There's got to be some change to Phasma, and then she can become really effective. Leia, I think, works as intended. The thing about Leia is if she gets that Inspire off, you're gonna world hurt. So I kind of like Leia where she is. You just have to do it right with both of them. There's no real flexibility or ability to fail with both. You got to get it right and do it, or you're going to fail. The dark side particle beam. I love particle beams. Dark side comes in down here at this lower level because the light side is all about swarms. Ewoks, Porgs, 3 Porgs, 2 Commandos. There's too many things swarming at you on the light side, and those are all of the preferred units. Minox now are the same way. Almost all the preferred units are swarm units, so it makes the particle beam on the dark side less valuable because it's just targeting one unit at a time. I always want to call it the ATST. It is an ATST. Why isn't it a Riot Control Walker? It should be an ATST. I've been complaining about this for a long time. It's an ATST. All right, moving on. ATST. I actually like this unit. I think as we get it leveled up, it might gain some more value. The issue is that with it costing 5. It's the most expensive thing on the board aside from Heroes, and it's not as effective as Heroes. So it needs to have something done. Maybe give it some kind of special ability that's got like a hero does. Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of Nooch 2 burp. So it's I really like this unit. I like to use it in events a lot. It's very effective in events. But there you go. Just the Destroyer Droid has some cool mechanics, rolling forward, stunning everything, got the shield, shoot stuff, it got a recent buff. It just still doesn't quite hang, and it doesn't quite do its job. You feel like when it hits Yoda, it should stop his special, but it doesn't. It doesn't stop the special. I don't believe so. I was trying at the beginning, and Yoda would shield, and I'd hit him, and he'd keep shielding, which it doesn't work for anybody else that way, I don't think. I don't get that whole thing. The Gungans are kind of the light side version of the Droideka, except there's 3 of them. They have lower health, they have lower damage, but they stun. The thing about Gungans is in the right situation, they can be really, really good. Gungans against the particle beam will never get a shot off. It cannot fire against Gungans. It gets stunned too much, never goes. But you got to really pick your spots again with Gungans. They will get roasted by a flame trooper will kill them basically with the same speed it kills Porgs or kills Ewoks. So Gungans are fun. I really do enjoy Gungans. You just have to find the right spot to use them. And maybe that's events for you guys too. All the rest of these units in this category, pretty much everything from the middle line down. I recommend, if you're a good player, if you're at 3,000 trophies or more, pop a unit or two, pop 1 or 2 of these units into your event lineup and give yourself a challenge. Guys, if you fail the events, it renews in 2 hours. You can go back in and do it later. It's not hurting anything. You can go back in and play. Try out some decks in the events. Try out some different units. Play with the missile launchers and the Chicken Walker or Droidica or Gungans. Just try stuff out in the event. That's my recommendation, but I digress. Super Battle Droid does really high single target damage. Again, the problem is he's fighting the light side, and that's a bunch of swarming units. It's kind of like Chewie. Him and Chewie, if their abilities were flipped, and the Battle Droid did area damage, and Chewie did single fire damage. In fact, I'll talk about that for a second. The reason that Chewie and Battle Droid are in this category is because their abilities are reversed. I've got the Clone Grenader. I've got the Clone Flame Trooper if I want. I've got Luke's special ability. I got Yoda to shield everything. I don't really need... I've got the Booma Balls, right? I don't need another unit that kills swarms on the light side. Flip those abilities. Like, that would be a great balance change. Make the Battle Droid, Super Battle Droid, do area damage, and make Chewie do single target damage. That would be a really good balance to the game. It would give us more options on the dark side to counter. It would just be much better for the game that way. But that's why they both end up here, because it's not that way. It's the opposite. Moroff. I love using Moroff in events. Guys, I love using Moroff in events. If you watch me on an event, I think on the last one, I can't remember what it was called, but I used Moroff in that event. You can get him going. I remember I killed 2 stormtroopers and like 3 or 4 other things in a tower. He just goes off. When he gets loaded up, stuff starts happening and things start dying. But the problem is he takes so long to load in regular play that he's almost impossible to use, because again, there's just too much action. It is still a cycling game. There's no real big heavy decks it can use. He's best against that big heavy deck, and there's too much stuff cycling, and by the time he gets loaded up, he's pretty much dead. So not usable in regular play. Gamorrean is similar in that he's not usable in regular play. You can use him, but from my perspective, mostly what he does, you can use him in like big long pushes as a front tank. You could put him in front of Phasma. I've seen it done. We got one guy that does that a lot. He likes to do that, and I get it. It's a fun little combo. The Gamo's mechanics are a lot of fun. It swipes and just kills porgs like nobody's business. Has a ton of health. It's just a lot of fun. But what it turns into is he just makes your tower cost an extra 4, right? So you lay down a particle beam, that's 4. You put a Gamo in front of it, you just spent 8. You just spent 80% of your total energy for a particle beam and a Gamo. And that Gamo is susceptible to everything on the board except porgs. Everything else, I guess, except the tanks at the bottom, but everything else really handles it pretty well. And that's why it falls here. If they could find, I'm not sure what I'm not sure what the buff would be for the Gamo to make him useful, but there's just he just makes your towers really expensive. He provides some decent defense. It's just too much. He just costs, maybe if he costs 3, maybe if he even costs 2, honestly, he just should cost less, then he'd be used a lot more. And finally, the Clone Flame Trooper, as stated before, he's got a lot of health, but he does the same thing Chewie does. That's what I don't get. Chewie and the Flame Trooper, they look different. Like, their graphics are different. Their mechanics and the results are pretty much the same. Chewie and a Flame Trooper side by side do pretty much the same thing. They wipe out swarms. Which again, there's not that many swarms on the dark side, so there's not a lot. I don't need 2 units doing this. They have a lot of health, and anyway, there you go. You get it. All right, let's move up to the Admirals. As we move to the Admirals, before I get there, as we get to the top of this diamond, we're looking at units that can find their ways into decks more often. When you get to the Grand Moffs and Unlimited Power, I believe these are the units that, if you're going to be consistently winning, will be in almost every deck. We can argue about it a little bit. I'm sure there'll be a lot of differences. As you guys might have already seen something like the Guavian. Again, I know. Go ahead and yell at me. Put in the comments. By the way, put in the comments, what's your favorite unit? What do you think is the worst unit in the game? What do you think is the best? Where am I missing things? What's going on? Let's jump into these Admirals here. Okay, Admirals. We start off at the top, and by the way, this is top. I should be going bottom to top, but I'm going top to bottom. The top Admiral card is the light side particle beam. There are so many single fire damage units on the dark side. The only swarms they have are battle droids, the 2 battle droids, 2 stormtroopers, and I think that's it, isn't it? Let me look through here real quick. I think that's it. Oh, we got the buzz droids now. But the thing is, all those things are really susceptible, especially battle droids. Boomer balls wipe them out without even, like, without a second thought. Like, you only need one boom, literally. One boomer ball hits battle droids, they're all dead, and the other 3 boomer balls keep going and do more damage. They're just really easy to kill, the swarmers on the dark side. And as I mentioned, the buzz droids, if there's 1 unit below them, they all die on the boomer balls too. So, that light side particle beam, you drop that thing in the middle and you control the middle against the dark side, it is really difficult to overcome. So use that. Seismic charge. Didn't quite make it in the Grand Moffs with the recent nerf, and it's stun lasting less time. It falls to the to this captain's, no, what are we in? Admirals tier. That said, a like leveled seismic charge, so level 9 seismic charge will kill level 9 Ewoks and level 9 Porgs. And that's a big deal because, as we've mentioned numerous times, you see on the light side Ewoks and Porgs and Ewoks and Porgs and Porgs and Ewoks and Ewoks and Porgs. You see it all the time. And if you can take one big wide swath and wipe those things out in one blow, let's say there's Ewoks and Porgs over here, that's 6 energy. Use 3 and you kill it. 3 energy to kill 6 energy. It's a huge advantage for you. Plus, you can also use the seismic charge to stun the other heroes like Yoda, Leia. It's really effective for that kind of stuff too. It's a really great card. Fun to use. I have the Minox and the Tauntaun side by side. Both of these cards on the light side are tower destroyers. They will mash your tower in a matter of seconds if you don't counter them. Now, they're a little bit different. Obviously, the Tauntaun has that initial hit that does a ton of damage. Then it does smaller amounts of damage as it goes through. And the Minox are three units that actually do the opposite. They're like flying particle beams. They start at low damage and they ramp up until all 3 of them are doing more damage. I think at their maxes at the base level is like 25. I don't know what their max is, but they just ramp up and just do a ton of damage the longer they stay on the tower. They're really dangerous. The dark side has nothing like this. The dark side, the only tower-seeking card on the dark side is the Adept, and it's Poodoo. Poodoo! You want a Poodoo. We know, right? It's Poodoo. So, Minox and Tauntaun. I love the Tauntaun. I love the Minox, but you only put one of them in your deck. It really doesn't make any sense to have both of them. Maybe you found a deck you can use. Let me know. I don't know. The Porgs. I've mentioned the Porgs so many times here. Those Porgs are awesome. They attack units in the air. They attack units on the ground. They swarm. They will kill any tower that's not a flame tower on the board easily unless the missile launcher hits them at long range. The Porgs are amazing. They are worth using almost all the time. Tusken Raider. Now, you guys know that I've been a big fan of Tusken Raider since the update last month. It's about a month ago now, almost exactly a month. Tusken, with the extra pool of health he got, has been really, really effective as a single damage, mainly damaging turrets and towers. But you know, you put him against some Ewoks. You drop him in the middle of Ewoks with maybe like a couple battle droids supporting. That's probably enough to kill or mostly kill those Ewoks. And he's just really tough to kill. I've seen Tauntaun with a little bit of help take out like a flock of Porgs, like a Tauntaun, or excuse me, did I say Tauntaun? Tusken. A Tusken and one Stormtrooper can take out like, and one tower can basically take out a flock of Porgs and then keep pushing forward because I have a ton of health left. The Tusken's just killing one Porg per shot. Anyway, he's just really good. Great single fire damage and melee damage, and I just really like the Tusken a lot. Next is the turbo lasers on both sides. They only cost 3. They cost the same as a flame tower, believe it or not, and they have way more health, most health in the game. They're just big hulking towers to put out there. They're not great at firing. Their firing rates are slow. They fire at single units. Not super at that. But as far as destroying them, if you're playing good defense and you can defend your towers, they just have a lot of health and they just don't cost very much. They're really good towers. I would recommend them in almost any game. You want to throw them out there? Throw them out there. They're a lot of fun to use. In fact, if you look at this, at the rankings here, the towers I got is the light side particle beam and then the turbo lasers and then the dark side particle beam, right? Yeah, well, actually, I forgot about the Ewok Treehouse coming up and this Battle Droid Factory, we already did that. R2 and C2. I've got these guys in here. I don't think they're necessary anymore, but they're really, really good. You know, they only cost 2, and they can heal your towers for like a third of their health or more. So They're worth having in your deck. And by the way, if your towers are at full health, they can charge forward and do damage. And they actually are really good at tanking for other units too. R2, or excuse me, C2 against 3 Porgs, I think actually handles them. If it's not an even trade, he takes them out. And then R2 versus the 2 battle droids, same thing. He takes those out. So really good units, even if your towers are at full strength, they're good little tanks. The 2 battle droids and the battle droids. I think I'm going to get a little pushback here as well. That's fine. The 2 battle droids are great because they're 1 energy. You get to cycle through your deck, and they give a little bit of threat, maybe a little bit of support. Like if you got, let's say you had a C2 sitting there and drop 2 battle droids, they're going to get tanked for by the C2, and they're just going to keep firing and firing and firing. And the battalion battle, the big battle droid card, you know, is it 3, 6, 8 battle droids, I think? Is it 9? 8 or 9 battle, whatever. My biggest problem, now, as a unit, they do the most damage in the game. You drop them directly on a particle beam, they'll kill the particle beam. They'll just take it out, even level. The problem with them is they're just so dang flimsy. You know, they're really easy to kill. As I mentioned earlier, you drop 4 boomer balls, and you only use 1 of them to kill an entire battalion of battle droids. I think that's a little bit much. And I don't know that they do enough damage, or they're a little short on range. I think the other units have 9 range, and the battle droids have 8. If they had 1 more range, they'd probably move up into the Grand Moffs and be in every deck. But they're just not quite there for me. I can use them, and I do use them. I just think they fall into the Admiral tier rather than Grand Moffs. Ewok Trios. I love this. I love the Ewok Trios. The Ewoks are amazing. This is pumping out Ewoks. They will get 1 to 2 shots in on every single tower in the game, except the missile launcher if it's not locked onto something else. They'll get 2 shots in on a flame tower. Actually, I think they get more shots in on a flame tower than some of the other, than like the turbo laser. Maybe, I don't know. I think they get 2 shots in on everything. Regardless, they're gonna be, if you get an Ewok Trios up and your opponent doesn't take it down, you're gonna be chipping away and chipping away and chipping away at those towers, and eventually you won't even notice as an opponent your tower's down to like within bomber range, and you didn't even think about it because those Ewoks seemed like they were dying, but they were chipping damage every single time. Next, we get to the clone, or not the clone flame trooper, the dark side flame trooper. Again, I know I'm going to get yelled at for this. A lot of people would swap him with the Guavian. I get it. I just think it's a matter of choice. I think one or the other. I could probably put the Guavian up here. I was just trying to make the numbers even. So, I love the dark side flamer. He takes out those entire, flock of porgs gone. He doesn't take any damage. Ewok's gone, takes a little bit of damage. He just does for my money, he does a fair amount more than the Guavian, but the Guavian helps you cycle more. 2 Stormtroopers and Commandos. These are really good units. They're usable in almost any deck. They're very effective against Porgs, Ewoks, Battle Droids, all that stuff. There's really good support units to have on the field. I don't have anything bad to say about them. They're just kind of unspectacular. Like, they don't do anything super great that would make you want to put them in every deck. But if you got them on the field, it's not like you're hurting, not like you're in bad shape because you got the Stormtroopers and Rebel Commandos out there. Guys, let's go into our Grand Moffs. Now, these Grand Moffs, these are cards that are pretty much going to go Grand Moffs and unlimited power. If you're going to win, these are the cards going to be in every deck. So I'm going to get in trouble on one of these. A discussion started today in the LEGO Stars Battles Discord, and I'm going to get in trouble right about now. So I'll tell you when I get there. Boomer Balls. Boomer Balls come in just under unlimited power. Guys, these things, they do so much damage. If you have a full health tower in overtime, you can't let 4 Boomer Balls hit that tower. You can take Boomer Balls, Bomber, Boomer Balls, dead. So then your light side opponent just has to hit it with 4 Boomer Balls, drop a Bomber, defend, 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 hit it with 4 Boomer Balls, game over. You have got to keep those Boomer Balls off your tower. Not to mention, they also stun for longer than the seismic charge now. They wipe out battle droids, as we've talked about many times. They are just family wreckers. These guys will blow through your house like a tornado, and they will sweep you off to Oz, and you won't even know what happened. You'll think you were in a dream, but you're dead. You're dead. They're all dead. Okay, Ewoks. My goodness. Ewoks are, as a group, they're just the most devastating group of units in the game by far. Their rate of fire is fantastic. They can, if you drop Ewoks on a particle beam, they'll take that thing out too. And they're more sturdy than battle droids, right? They just take more damage than battle droids. They're just really flexible, awesome, killer units. Ewoks have got to be in every light side deck, just regardless. Both bombers, light side, dark side bomber, the TIE bomber, the Y-wing bomber. Guys, I've said this a million times about bombers. Level them up as quickly as you can, as high as you can. They are hidden damage. You are playing your opponent. They have no idea how much damage you can do with your bombers. I have been in games, and I'm sitting there. I know that my bombers do, I think, 615, 620 damage. I can't remember. Level 10 bombers. Might be more like 640, 650, whatever. And I'm sitting there with a tower at 700, and I'm thinking I'm safe. Nope, my opponent has level 11 bombers. Boom, tower dead. I didn't even realize it was coming. Game over. Level up those bombers. They're hidden damage, and not just against towers. You know, if you got a flock, if you got a bunch of Ewoks and Porgs coming at you, you can wipe them all out with a bomber. You're trading 4 energy for 6. They have a lot of uses. I've been using them now on the dark side. When I see Yoda coming, I wait for them to drop units. As soon as they drop like Ewoks down, I bomber them. And yeah, I traded 4 for those 3 cost Ewoks, but Yoda doesn't get to shield him if I bomber him right away. So bombers are really flexible, really awesome, huge single fire damage in the game. Get them leveled up, get them in the lineup. The 3 Porgs and the 1 Stormtrooper. These are similar units. They're pretty much a trade if you get them on the board. Both are so valuable. I think the 3 Porgs are more valuable because there's 3 of them. They can just do so many things. You get a unit on your turret, you drop the 3 Porgs on it. The 3 Porgs plus your turret can pretty much kill any unit on the board, including a battalion of battle droids. If you let the battle droids engage your tower and drop 3 Porgs in the middle of them, 3 Porgs in your tower will take it out. I'm not talking about the missile launcher, no, because I covered this. Gotta pay attention. Gotta pay attention. Anyway, 3 Porgs, 1 Stormtrooper. 1 Stormtrooper, I believe both these units are completely invaluable in your lineup. Not to mention they cost 1. And the value you get for that 1 is just tremendous. Think about you get 1 Stormtrooper for 1 and 2 Stormtroopers for 3. Now, granted, there's a cumulative effect with 2 Stormtroopers, but if you look at the value of the 1 versus the value of the 3, the 3 cost 2 Stormtroopers are probably more like 2.5 to 2 3/4 of the damage and the value that the 1 cost is. Am I saying that right? You know what I'm saying. It's really, really valuable. Use it. Okay, here's when I'm getting in trouble. Apparently there's a discussion in LEGO Star Wars Battle Discord. I couldn't find it. I didn't look too hard. Everybody was saying they regretted doing Boba Fett over Darth Vader. I just don't agree. I don't. And I get that Darth Vader, as he levels up, he has so much freaking health, and his damage around him is so effective. He's just a massive tank and a massive, ridiculous unit. I just think this is where he falls. Now, by the way, I've got him in the Grand Moff tier. It's not like I dropped him down to trainees or admiral or something. Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are super effective. They're the tankiest tanks in the game. Their ultimates make them super awesome special. Ultimates, special abilities, whatever you want to call them. Luke is a little more susceptible than Darth Vader. Darth Vader does damage all around him. So if you time it right when a BB unit's coming in, you can kill the BB unit. The thing about Luke is you can distract him to the left, and then his ability won't go, he only goes forward. Now, he does hit air units, but there's not that many air units to hit on the dark side, especially, as I mentioned, all the dark side air units are down in the trainees section, so you're not going to see them very often. But Luke's damage out in a semicircle is really, really effective and reaches out farther than Darth Vader's, but Darth Vader's goes in a full circle around him. There's a preference thing there, but you also get the advantage of Luke. You can distract him from a tower with 1 Stormtrooper, a BB unit, and then you can just wipe him out with stuff from behind him. So just keep that in mind. And lastly, as I just mentioned, the BB unit, BB-8, BB-9. These guys cost 1. They're going to cycle through your deck. They're going to run out there fast to help you get the middle tower, to help you get on board quickly. They're going to stun Luke. They're going to stun Vader. They're going to stun Yoda. They're going to stun Phasma if she hasn't had her special yet. They're going to stun they're going to stun anything. They'll stun Tuskens, any melee units they stun. They're just really, really good. Plus, they help you cycle to other units. Plus, they can stun a tower. They can stun the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter if they come. They're just really, really good. If you don't have this group of Grand Moffs in your lineup, of course, You're about to find the exception of Vader and Luke, but there's nothing wrong with having Vader and Luke in your lineup. These are the cards. They got to be in your lineup every time. You got to have them in there. And guys, let's talk about unlimited power. Let's talk about it. Yoda and Boba Fett. Now, if you look at my old NOOCH tiers, and hang on, I'm going to take a little sip of water here. If you look at my old original NOOCH tiers from last October 2020, I believe Yoda was considered Poodoo at the time. Talk about a change of circumstances, a change of fortune. So in the beta, back in the older times of the game, Yoda, he had the shield, but when he shielded, he just froze. So he would shield and freeze. And he would still take damage from towers. It was ridiculous. Like, he would shield and freeze, so he's not doing any damage. And he's taking damage from towers, and he's not advancing down the field. Now we have Yoda. He shields. He continues to advance. I think the advancing is actually more important than the attacking, if you're asking me. But he advances, and he attacks, and he shields everything around him for, I don't know, like 3.5 seconds. He is ludicrous. Yoda is the one champion in the game. If you don't rein him in early, I have had this happen in the last few days. Yoda comes down, I mishandle him. He shields like Ewoks in 3 porgs or something. They kill my middle tower. Then they keep going, and I mishandle it again, and they end the game. I had a game over within a minute, and it was literally, I'm not exaggerating. It was over within a minute because I mishandled Yoda the first time, and I think because I did it the first time, my energy was all wonkers, and I couldn't recover from it. You drop a bomber on Yoda with a bunch of shielded units, you've just wasted 4 energy. Even more if you drop a seismic charge, because a seismic charge will at least stun them. So, yeah, guys, Yoda is ridiculously awesome, and I can't say enough about him right now in the game. He is by far, he's better than Luke. Certainly better than Luke, and Leia's not even in a class there. You got to time Leia perfectly to make it work. Yoda, you drop him deep. This is the strategy. You get the game going, you let them get the middle tower, you drop Yoda deep, you let him move forward. As soon as he gets out to about within range of the middle tower, you can drop some Ewoks, you can drop some Minox, you can drop some Porgs, do a shield immediately. Everything's shielded. Your opponent is trying to do something and just failing, and anyway, you get it. Boba Fett. I don't have no meme loaded up. Apologize for that. So Boba Fett does so much damage and so much flexible damage. And that's why I really like Boba Fett over Darth Vader. If I got Boba Fett marching down the field and he singles in on a tower, he's going to do somewhere around 40% of that tower's health all by himself. Maybe more if he's left alone. If he's left his own circumstances and nothing counters, he'll destroy any tower except the particle beam. So Boba Fett just does so much damage, but it's not just that, because when it's special, all the rockets. But the thing is, and you've seen this, if stuff is within range of his rockets, if you got 3 Porgs over here and 4 Ewoks over there and a tower here, the rockets will split. 1 tower for the Porgs, 1 tower for the Ewoks, 1 tower for the tower. 1 rocket. NOOCH 2 can't talk. 1 rocket for the tower, 1 rocket for the Porgs, 1 rocket for the Ewoks. And by the way, guys, all you're going to have is 1 of those 4 Ewoks in the circle, and it will target and do splash damage. It'll kill all the Ewoks, all the Porgs. And that's so valuable. I think he's the most valuable tool in the game against those swarms. And whenever he's on the board, your opponent just has to deal with him automatically. Now, that is actually true for every legendary, every champion in the game. All the champions. Yoda, Boba Fett, Luke, Vader, Leia, Phasma. When they're on the board, you have to deal with them. Leia and Phasma are very easy to deal with. Boom Ball is seismic. Vader and Luke are a little harder to deal with because they're super tanky. But I don't feel they have the impact. I know they don't have the impact of Yoda. He definitely has more impact than Luke does. Some will argue me with Vader. My other thing about Boba Fett is that Minox are becoming more and more popular by the day. You're seeing them in more and more decks. They're popping up, and Vader doesn't touch Minox. They just fly right over him. And that's why I believe Boba, for all those reasons, the massive amount of damage he does, every rocket does splash damage. When he flies, if you can't boom a, if he's coming at your tower, you're sitting there thinking, gotta save my boomer balls, gotta save my boomer balls. You have to wait till he does his, ability to drop boomer balls or porgs or Ewoks. You have to let him go. You have to let him do his ability, and his ability, his special, does so much freaking damage. And you just have to take it right in the face before you drop units to deal with it, including boomer balls, including Ewoks, unless there's units around him. If there are other units around him, Boba Fett will take the splash damage from the boomer balls. But for these reasons, I believe that Yoda and Boba Fett are at the top because they represent unlimited power. My throat is hurting. My throat hurts. Nooch 2 throat hurts. Guys, there it is. Nooch Tiers for December 2021, ranking every card in LEGO Star Wars Battles. And you want to know something dumb? I didn't save any of these. I should have saved my templates for these. I'm going to have to redo all of these cards again as more cards get released. It seems like they may only be releasing 2 cards every month, so this may be like a once a quarter thing. We'll see. We'll see as the game goes along. If something else comes out that's super impactful, like let's hope we get champions next season. We need 2 new champions. You can market your game with 2 new champions. Is it champions? Whatever. Anyway, guys, there it is. Nooch Tiers, ranking every unit from Poodoo to unlimited power and LEGO Star Wars Battles. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Give us a like and a subscribe. You know, if you're getting stuff out of the channel and you haven't subscribed, you're making a huge mistake in your life and you'll suffer the consequences. If you don't like these videos, then other people don't get to see it, and you don't spread the popularity of your game, and eventually your game goes away. Save the game. Keep the game going. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Always remember, Nooch too good. Hello. Hello. My God. Greetings, young fools. I have returned in all of my dark side glory. Well, you've been asking your Star Wars dad to rank all of the cards in LEGO Star Wars Battles. And today, Nooch is going to do that for you. He's going to show you NOOCH Tiers. Yes. Is that